Charlie. Charlie. Michael Myers is outside. Stay with the little girl. Please?
Hey there, boys and ghouls. Welcome to another episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and George with
Alex Taylor.
Oh, Alex Taylor, our very special. I was like, should I say or he said? I don't know. I was actually like flipping a mental coin as I said it, but we got both of them, so it doesn't get any better than that. Our Halloween expert, as we refer to all the time when we're not talking about music and other horror films.
So we're gonna do 4, 5, and 6 in this episode.
Yes,
and I'm excited because I had not seen these movies in quite a while, and they're a little different than I remembered them.
In a good way or a bad way? I guess we'll discuss it.
In both, in both ways. I remembered 5 with a little more emotional fondness than I think it deserved, and I remembered 6 as bad, but not as bad as it actually is. And I had no idea the producer's cut of 6 existed, and now it's my favorite of all of them. Out of these 3,
I'm excited to hear you talk about the producer's cut, mainly because I haven't seen it.
Right.
I've seen like the Netflix version that was on like a few years ago.
Yep.
And like what's funny is this block of films is the one that's usually I see on like television.
Yep.
And so like I remember seeing these ones really young on TV. So then when I rewatched them, it hit like a little like nostalgic flip in my head, and I was like, yeah, I think I like this one. But I have these 3 ranked in my head. What were you saying, Alex? You did the same thing.
Yeah, on the AMC like Fright Fest.
Yeah.
That's you. Yeah, it always reminds me of Halloween as well. It's 4, 5, and 6, and I don't know if it was like a rights thing where they couldn't obtain it to 1, 2, and 3, or I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I probably have seen 4 and 5 and 6, probably the most.
Yeah, they're just always
these
on.
films are pretty meaningful to you, Alex. Do you know why? Can you articulate?
I don't know. It's probably because I saw them a lot as a child. I just had the easiest access to them, I guess.
Right.
I remember going over my aunt's house, and she had the whole series, but I could never. I think they actually lost 1, 2, and 3, and I also like borrowed them indefinitely, 4, 5, and 6 from my aunt. So yeah, I think that could be partially why I love these movies, but I don't know.
Well, you love movies when you steal them from your aunt. Good job.
I tried to steal Monster Squad. My mom wouldn't let me. She was like, "No, leave that. Leave that here." So I didn't get away with it. I wish I should have tried more better.
The Heist.
All right, well let's jump right in. Let's start with Halloween 4.
The Return
of Michael Myers. So Alex, take us away. This was, to be honest, out of the 3 we're doing, I think this was probably my least favorite one.
Halloween 4 is your least favorite? It's my most favorite.
Aha! Good. We got a nice balance.
I knew it would be.
Everyone picked a different favorite.
Yeah.
I was after like the quote unquote failure of Halloween 3, they realized they kind of had to do some course correction and go back to bringing Michael Myers in. Mm-hmm. Obviously. I think they only had 11 days to write the script. I think that was.
Oh my god!
Yeah. There was like a writer's strike. I think I had that written down.
There was,
and which is crazy because it kind of has a fairly competent script in the end,
and a complicated one. Like it's not just straight ahead simple slasher. There's some other things going on here.
Yeah, it's so like they actually shot it in Utah, which was kind of a brave move considering that like Pasadena was Haddonfield. But honestly, I don't. It's Halloween 4. I don't mind that it's shot in Utah. Like that opening with Alan Howarth's very very like subtle score. It's just more like just straight atmospheric. I think that totally works. Like he really like waited to play the theme until we first see Michael Myers coming out of that hospital.
Yeah, the credits threw me off. I was waiting for that music to kick in, and I was like, "Wait, I'm only hearing wind. What's happening here?"
Yeah, and like the shots that they were just rolling with of like the farms with the like very minimal Halloween decorations. Like that was one of my first notes. Was like I dug that. Like that was it definitely set up the Halloween feel, and I think that might go into. We'll get into this later on with 4 is why I think this is my least favorite. It had for me, when you compare it to the other two, like the least Halloween feel, like in terms of like the holiday.
Okay.
Holiday.
Interesting. I actually, I got a really super holiday vibe coming off of 6.
Yeah.
The color of 6 was really, there was like a lot of parts where it was almost like Fincher, like it was like steel grays and blues, but then there were a lot of great fall shots.
Yeah.
But 4 I felt pretty holiday-ish. I think it's pretty even through these.
You got. I think the most you got was in the beginning. It was like, here's some Halloween decor, blah 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 blah. But to be fair, after those amazing, the images of the where you say it was Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
The Iowa,
Utah.
Utah outdoors. It took us right to the asylum, and I love that. I love that opening. Like that felt really creepy. Reminded me of the House on Haunted Hill remake a little bit.
Oh yeah,
just with all the. Oh my god, it's so great. And they had like the crazy people walking around in such a way like where it's like it just felt gross and like they didn't even want to be there.
Yep.
I loved that. I love that opening. In fact, there was one of the my first note was love the creepy asylum people, and then the guy they're talking to, the two transpo people,
mm-hmm.
they were talking to the I don't know what his title was there. But the one guy looks and he goes, "Oh, Jesus," and he has the line, "Jesus ain't got nothing to do with this place." I was like, all right.
I remember that.
I do like that. I like this guy a lot.
Like the guy who just exists for the sake of exposition.
That's him, yeah. He's like, walk with me, let me catch the audience up.
Yeah, and if I remember, like the asylum guy who was running, it was like, good riddance to this Michael Myers guy. Like, what's your problem? Like, Michael Myers is a model prisoner. Like, he's basically hibernating. Mm-hmm. What the hell are you so annoyed about that he's there?
I think it just gives him the creeps. I don't know.
Yeah, that must be it.
Michael does a lot of sleeping in these 3 films.
So here's the thing, a game that I was playing when I was watching all 3 of these was, all of us know that Michael Myers and Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis make these movies, right? Uh-huh. But then I was like through the whole series, like, so that's the Olympic stand, like gold, silver, bronze. Mm-hmm. Like, who's 4, right? So I was like literally halfway through the return, and I was like, Danielle Harris has got to be the 4th most important or 4th best performance in the series. And then I had some other thoughts on it, but since we're just talking about 4 right now, I just want to throw out there that she's amazing.
Yeah.
And does a great job.
Yeah, I think as soon as like she walked into like the casting agency or whatever, they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, she works." She totally gets it. She's just so like smart. I don't know how to explain it. Like she seemed like she was just years older than she was.
Yeah, a lot of likability to it.
Yeah, and I think also she was. She had said in an interview that she was super excited. I think it was her first movie ever. So she was just really excited. So she brought a lot of energy, but it wasn't like crazy energy. It was just like intense. She was intense, you know? So I totally bought that she was going through what she was going through with that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Cause here's the thing. You pivot back from 3 to 4 and now Halloween 1 and 2 were premised on Michael chasing Jamie Lee Curtis. You have to replace the main chasee.
That ain't easy.
And no, like everything will live or die on whether you fuck that up or not. And I think they nailed it.
Oh, so the other thing I liked about this film, these 3 films, they put Michael in a lot of different masks and shit.
Yeah, can we talk about this? Because
totally.
This really threw me off.
I like the first appearance, like when he went to the auto repair place, and he had like the bandages wrapped around his face. It reminded me of the Goodnight Mommy a little bit.
Sure.
And I kind of dug the shit out of that.
That was super cool.
Like it's not the iconic, spray painted William Shatner mask, but it still looked pretty. Like knowing it was Michael Myers with that wrap. Yeah.
So 2 actors played Michael Myers in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And the first one got fired.
Yeah, which I actually think is so strange because I actually like that guy's stature more than the guy they kept bringing back.
So the original guy that got fired is the one. So George Wilbur, he plays in 4 and 6. Mm-hmm. The guy who got fired, he was in the gauze. So that scene was him, not.
Oh, because he had a very like. I mean, it's just crazy to think that like, oh, you have like one suit and one mask, like you can throw anyone in there. That made a difference. Like,
no, it totally.
They bring a little something to the.
But I was watching that documentary and it was so weird because they kept talking about how the budgets were getting bigger and there were more professionals working on it, and it wasn't a shoestring like John Carpenter had to shoot it. Mm-hmm. And then halfway through every documentary, they're like, "But we fucked up the mask somehow." And I'm like, how do you keep fucking up the mask? Like,
I remember as a kid, specifically in the scene when they're in the school. I know everyone knows what the hell I'm talking about. The regular mask, like it was the William Shatner mask that they didn't fucking paint or fix the hair at all.
Right. There's a mask where it's like a surfer mask with blonde hair, and that's in a couple shots. And it's just so weird that you would not. How do you screw that up? Like, that's the first thing you would think of when you're making the movie, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Apparently, that was one of their first night shoots was at that school, and they ordered the costume designer, who actually that was his last movie, I guess, because he fucked up so much. He ordered a few masks, like William Shatner masks from the Dawn Post factory. Requesting that they would paint them and kind of, make them look like, and they received them the night of that shoot, and they arrived like not painted.
Oh,
and I guess they just ran out of time, or like no one gave that's crazy to me because that mask is so iconic.
No one had white paint.
That's crazy,
right?
There wasn't a Home Depot or Lowe's
in Utah.
Yeah, some farmer had to have a bucket of white paint somewhere.
Yeah, it was super weird. The going back and forth, and the mask. I didn't like it. Like, he looked like Data from Star Trek to me. For most of this movie, and I was like, "What is happening here? Like, this is not."
That's
right.
why I call him like the Kmart Michael. Like, he just doesn't look. He doesn't look like the top shelf Halloween Michael that we expect. So every time he was on screen, like, he kind of had like a pig nose looking.
Yeah, kind of like an upturned.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I like the mask, I don't like the mask. I think it's one of the worst looking ones in the series, but I have like a connection with it because that was the mask that I wore when I was Michael Myers for Halloween because it was cheaper than the actual.
It's the Kmart mask.
Sure. Yeah, it literally is like the cheap version of it.
But
all right, so that's not great.
But you were probably more menacing when you wore it trick or treating. You were probably more scared of you walking down and getting candy.
For this year's Halloween, I'm going to dress up as a plain Michael Myers mask and just run around and ask people for white paint all night long.
I thought you were gonna dress up as Alex Taylor dressing up as Michael Myers. I thought this was a multi-level.
Or Ben Tramer.
Ben Tramer, R.I.P. So then while I'm stacking performances, I want to just give a shout out to Rachel in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's pretty phenomenal, actually. Yeah. I think she did a really good job. She made it feel like a not dumb slasher because she had character. And I actually love the scene where they go up on the roof. So the weird part about this scene is in the script, the house is on fire and burning down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they had Michael and the sheriff Meeker got in a fight in the basement or something and like knocked like the boiler or something over and caused a giant fire, right?
Right, exactly. So then the house is on fire, so they the only way they can go is the roof. They took the whole fire thing out, so they just end up on the roof, which is kind of hilarious. But what's really cool about this is that, first of all, I think it's shot really, really authentic, and I appreciate that touch because what they did was they looked at like doing it on real roof, but Daniel Harris is like too young, so they were like, we can't risk it. Then they were going to green screen it, but they didn't green screen anything else in the movie, so they were like, what if it stands out? So they built a real roof, but they built it 6 feet off the ground. And they had them actually on the roof. So like it was cold at night and they said it would ice over in spots. Oh, yeah, and it's a steep it's a grade, right?
Yeah,
so
like they roll out.
Yeah, so they were like They had literally cushions and catchers all around in case someone slipped off the thing. The whole roof was like ringed with extras, like just waiting to catch Danielle Harris if she slid down.
Like an old timey like firefighter.
Yeah, exactly. But that means they could shoot it without wires, so it looked super real.
Yeah.
And I actually really like the because one of the things about the Halloween series to me is it's unnaturally good at giving you those iconic poster worthy shots.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many slashers I've seen where they only pull off one or two, but Halloween usually gives you like dozens, you know, because it's just that kind of series.
And it's usually when Michael's barely in
Yeah,
the shadows when someone's walking by.
yeah,
like,
or he's
always
across the street, or he's in the
always looks
laundry,
cool.
or you know. But the in this one, the shot where he appears on the roof and he's just looming over them like a true monster, and they're just like this tiny girl because they raise the stakes with. Like, I mean, we all want Jamie Lee Curtis to get out alive or whatever, but now this is a little girl. She's lived no life so far. This sucks, right? So, like, when he's coming after her, like, it's tense, right? So he's just looming over them on this roof, and there's nothing else in the shot. It's like darkness, sky, tree, and them just alone with this monster. And it's just a really, really good scene. She, the one playing Rachel, Ellie, she actually slipped and fell.
Hey.
And there was a nail or staple on the roof sticking up, and it ripped her stomach open.
Oh.
So she was bleeding like crazy, and they had to take her to the hospital, but they were out of time for shooting, so she stitched up and went back and shot the rest of the scenes.
No
so like
fucking
mad
way.
respect for that guard. She was like a badass in real life.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yikes.
freaking crazy.
I just had to take a moment to
Take a week
to win.
Now, I think one thing a lot of fans did not like about the film is that they made the really crazy decision to kill Jamie Lee Curtis, to kill Laurie Strode off screen.
Yep.
She got like an off screen death in a car crash that you
Yep.
just find out at the beginning when little Jamie, which they named her Jamie because of Jamie Lee Curtis, she like holds up a picture and it's like a news article about Laurie Strode dying in a car crash.
Yeah, that's straight up bullshit. I'm just gonna say that's not a good. That's lazy,
I agree.
and and disrespectful to the character to have that kind of like backstory. But I mean, the movie was moving on, right? So I wasn't lingering on that. It didn't really affect my enjoyment of it. I could see why it would bother some fans, but I don't like that they did it. But you know, as the plot propelled forward, I wasn't.
Yeah, I kind of got over it pretty quickly.
So that part's fine.
And knowing that it wasn't Halloween 1 or 2, you're like, I know where we're at.
What's kind of mind blowing to me is how they ended it. So first of all, they're it's so weird. They shoot him like 1,000 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who did, or the stunt coordinator for the movie, was literally like, he made the most fundamental movie mistake you can make. He told his friend they're never going to do a 5 because they can't bring Michael Myers back. We shot the shit out of him. Like that's gonna. What?
We brought the character who can't die. We killed him, but he can't die. No. We shot him.
Yeah,
He's
no,
gone.
we really shot him. We shot him a lot.
We had shotguns, pistols, rifles, you name it.
Yeah, this movie was definitely pro militia. So they shoot the crap out of this dude, and then he falls what is apparently 8 feet. Now this is weird because at the start of 5 they show them throwing dynamite into that hole that Michael falls in, because they shot that scene for 4, but they never put it in 4.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird going into.
Right?
I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember.
I know.
Which is weird because like when it picks up a year later when Michael is sleeping at that homeless man's,
Yeah.
it's a totally different mask because they're using the footage from the last one.
It's a totally different mask, and he's been sleeping for a year.
Yeah.
Like if I take someone in and they sleep for a year and I don't give them any food or water and they just keep living, I get a little freaked out.
Or I would look under the mask. Like why did like that? I don't want to wake him up.
All right, but let's not. So we're not at 5 yet because because here's the thing. I think one of the highlights of Donald Pleasant's entire run in this franchise is how this movie ends. I know the fans hated it. So Jamie,
Yeah.
it gets passed on. The blood curse gets passed on, and she's the killer. She's standing there at the top of the stairs with the scissors.
Almost sort of kind of did a Sam Raimi move,
Yep.
camera wise.
Yep.
Was her?
Yep. And then Donald Pleasance starts freaking out, and it is so intense. It is so intense the way he acted. It bothers me when I watch it. I mean, he just looks like his soul. He looked like his soul snapped.
Yeah, it was great. I don't need to.
He was probably screaming no. He's like, my agent told me this was the last one. No.
There's another. So then.
So he loved making those. Actually.
Yeah.
He kept telling Mustafa that like he'd make up to 19 of them.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I miss him. The series isn't the same without him.
Well, we saw what could be done in Rogue One, so who knows?
Who knows? But then, they make that. So what did we think of that? I know the series dropped that idea. But if they had carried on with Evil Jamie, what do you guys think of that as a prospect?
I thought they never had that intention to do that. I thought it was just kind of like a temporary thing. I don't know.
No, they absolutely. Matter of fact, Donald Pleasance was really disappointed that they didn't do Evil Jamie in 5. He wanted them to pursue that, and actually Danielle Harris had wanted to do it too, because I mean, think about it. In 5, she massacres the mom and then in 5 she's not possessed. I mean, they clearly went backwards.
Yeah, they were backpedaling for sure, and actually they ended up like not killing off the stepmom.
Correct.
They I don't know. So they have her they have this weird psychological link, essentially, between Michael Myers and Jamie in the 5th one rather.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think it would have. I don't know how it would have played out with Jamie as the killer.
See, I would have loved it because I would have thought no, but if they'd done it right. 5 could have been Evil Jamie. You would have 2 killers going on, right?
Yeah.
Which means you could potentially have some kind of showdown, or you could have I don't know. It just seemed a lot more interesting than where they took it. Because 5 is basically.
Well, do we want to? Are we going on 4? Because I got one more note on 4.
No, go do.
The only thing I think 4 should have done. Listen, this is how you make 4. You take it from an okay slasher film to the upper god tier of films. You bring back the Reverend in the truck, buddy cop film. That's what you do. I was like low key, kind of man, I wish because then Lupus could have been like, so you're looking for evil too? It's like, oh, that's right, brother, looking for evil. He's like, fucking there he is, and he would be like, shit.
All right, so let me tell you something funny about this guy. So Buddy was the actual prop guy in the movie.
Was the actual what? Sorry,
he was the actual prop designer. The guy who gets electrocuted. Bucky, sorry. And they said he kept trying to slip himself into the movie every chance he got. He kept trying to get appearances in the movie. So his real name's Bucky. He made himself Bucky. And they said that he was relentlessly basically hitting on everyone on set.
Oh, God.
And this guy is they were like, if there was one person on the set who was the true character, it was this dude. So I think this guy is hilarious, but that was a pretty good death too.
Yeah, the only death I made a note of that I really liked was when Michael grabs the shotgun, and I'm like, is he gonna shoot someone? It's like, nope, psych, impale. Gotcha.
That was pretty
that one's good. But also a kill that happens not too long after when he's grabbing and crushing that. Oh my god, I forgot the guy's name. Crushing that one character's head up on the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Brady, that was his name. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I had to look it up real quick.
That was a good one. So 4.
I was gonna make one more note about 4 that I think.
Yeah, go for it.
I think one of the things that worked against it was that it never actually, because the house was so important, Michael Myers' house, and they don't they never show a shot of it. And then I have more notes about what the fuck they did to it in 5.
Yeah,
They did go back to the house, but it's a totally different house.
Yes,
that really threw me off, especially like the one shot we're definitely going to talk about with Loomis. I was like, wait a minute, where the fuck are we?
Yep.
I don't know how I feel. You got any more notes on?
No, let's
on
do
4?
5.
I feel, but overall, even though it was probably it's Alex's favorite, it was probably my least favorite. It's still not a terrible movie by any means.
No, I think it's pretty damn good actually. My order in this block is I like 6 producer's cut, then I like 4, then I like 5, then I don't like 6. So,
Regular.
that's pretty much how it goes. And I'm not that big a fan of 5, but 4 would be my runner up in this block. I think it had really good atmosphere. I think it was held together by some really good performances. The kills were pretty good, and it was atmospheric. Like it didn't, and I feel like there was a cohesiveness to the crew that made it that I think came across on film. They all had each other's backs. They all really speak highly of each other. They all loved working together. There wasn't like tension like there was on 6. It was. I think it just was. It seemed like a win for the home team.
Fair enough.
Actually, there was another fun thing I just read, and I always thought it was weird when I was growing up. The first guy who played Michael Myers, I can't remember his name in Halloween 4. I liked his body type more. Mm-hmm. Apparently, George P. Wilbur, to try to look more imposing, wore like hockey pads on his shoulders, which is why in some shots it looks like Michael Myers is wearing fucking hockey pads.
So the hockey pads explain the hockey pads.
Yeah. Well, I never knew that. I just saw it because I always thought like I as far as all the Michael Myers are concerned, I think George P. Wilbur might be like my least favorite. In Halloween 4, I actually like him in Halloween 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, even though he's a little pudgier.
He's bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
I noticed this block of film, like these 3 films, like they were really just like show Michael's hands, get on a hand shot of Michael. We gotta let people know he's got 2 hands.
It's just because they wanted to show the burn marks essentially for the continuity from Halloween 2, just like they have the burn marks on Loomis's face.
Loomis in both films has like a little speech about his hands, like I tried to send him to hell.
He sells it though, man. I love him too much.
So I can't knock these block of films for making sure they have continuity on lock.
No, yeah, for sure. All right, so 5, we start with a year of Michael at his Airbnb. Yep. And then
on a slab.
And then he has an inexplicable tattoo. Right? And then he kills the hermit, which is don't adopt stray Michaels, because that just doesn't
Here's the thing. How the fuck like Michael's in your area. Surely here's the yeah, you've heard of him. Like, you know the look.
No, he's a hermit. That's the whole point of being a hermit. You don't.
This is why the logic of 5, or the lack of logic, and the casting. This is why it's absolutely my least favorite. And you take the most valuable part that isn't Donald Pleasance, which was Danielle Harris, and you make her mute.
Yeah, she's great at saying lines, so let's take her voice away.
Listen. I had the audio down real low, and I still knew that she was calling out for her dog in the opening. And it was scenes acting. That is top-notch acting. Yeah.
She sold it. What do you guys think of the central construct of this movie, which is that Jamie has this ability to telepathically predict Michael's attacks?
I think that was their way, obviously, of getting around her not becoming Michael, essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't think it paid off that well.
That's all. It was a hard one. It was a hard one to pull off. But this is my favorite one of the 3, and I think it's for me it's a nostalgic thing. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna defend the merits of the film.
Well, no, there are some merits. I actually liked the fact that we were so one of the things so there's an interesting problem. Mustafa Akkad, the producer or whatever of this whole series, he he articulated that it was you don't want to remake Halloween the original over and over and over again. You can't just have Michael killing teenagers who are babysitting people for 10 films. Like some right.
Yeah.
So some things have to change. It's the question of where you make the change, and if you make the change badly, you fuck it up. So we agree that they made the change as good as they could when they brought it to Danielle Harris's character.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the other changes is the way they are filmed is really relentless. You're basically seeing POV kills, and you're spending a lot of time in a house, or people are. It's very claustrophobic, right? So one thing that I thought was interesting was they got to cross-cut to her freaking out and the murders, which that never happened before. You weren't in two locations at once during a kill, and I thought it freshened it up a little bit.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it was a great plot choice, but just visually it was like a welcome change, because by the time you're in Halloween 5, you want the camera to start doing something a little different than.
and she was good at acting at the freakouts too.
She was.
Like that was good. I thought the fact that they had a child's costume pageant in like someone's hallway was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was really strange.
That's the kind of
There's
shit.
a lot of strange shit going down in Haddonfield. Like they still celebrate Halloween, and they sell Michael Myers masks in the stores.
That was the biggest like
Too soon?
confusing thing about the whole thing. So first of all, the one thing that I liked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alex. I'm about to go on a tangent about the cops that I love. The two.
You son of a bitch! Right?
Was that where you were going?
No, not at all. But
Okay, you go first, and then we'll go to the cops.
that makes sense. You mentioned how like you thought they would ban Halloween. That was the original idea for Halloween 4, that they were gonna kind of like a Footloose sort of thing, apparently.
Yeah, because that happens in 6.
Yeah, that they end up bringing that back in 6.
Right.
Also,
But
I realized,
until they mention it, it's just super weird. Once they solve it in 6, it's okay. But since they didn't do it in 4 and 5, you just got a town who's celebrating, right? Like that would be like wherever Dahmer's from having a Dahmer day. Like it doesn't.
The most baffling part was the fact that during the barn party, like they run out and the guy's in the Michael Myers outfit acts like he's gonna stab the people in front of cops. I'm like, oh my god, you fucking nerd.
Well, I forgot someone got killed. Ted
dumb.
Hollister got killed in 4 wearing a Michael Myers mask. He got gunned. So everyone gets Ben Tramer. This just keeps happening
over and over. Yeah, no, the one thing that confused me first was it had some more of those cool typical Michael shots where someone's in the house, he's in the background, you barely see him, kind of like that Strangers shot in the kitchen that we always talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But when the first 2 cops come, it plays that like Nick Jr. Yeah, I was like I rewound the fucking movie. I was like, wait a minute, did I really just hear that? Because like I'd seen it on TV and I never remembered like hearing that, and I was like, oh my god, they have like a theme for these 2 doofuses, and this is real.
Yeah, I always thought, even as a child, that stood out to me. I was like, what the fuck? And now like more about like writing music for film. Like I don't know how the fuck Alan Howarth got away with that, because it's the same composer. And he said, I think that was in the documentary you're referring to, George, that Alan Howarth was saying like he thought for sure that there was no way in hell that track would make it through. It was fucking accepted for like no rewrites. He's like, oh, fucking all right, whatever.
I just thought,
is that something composers do? Put in shit they don't want to make it through, and then hope that it doesn't? Because that's
just
really...
to kind of like if they're in a crunch for time, or if they're trying to prove to a director that something like a director's idea is stupid. Like I'll try to just to make it show you like this obviously doesn't work. Maybe he tried that. Maybe they said like try to make the cops funny. So, like, I guess that's probably what they did, and they fucking kept it, which is.
I thought that was just
is the best.
I thought that was so strange. But you know what's funny though is whenever we talk about these films, wasn't one of the, I don't know if this was an original idea or not, but wasn't one of the plans for Halloween to have it like an anthology that goes around it? And these 2 cops made me really, 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 really hope that someday we get like a Halloween anthology where like the whole Michael Myers thing is just kind of happening. Because I would love to see this. This is what I thought of when I saw these guys. I would love to see like Tucker and Dale in Haddonfield. If they could do something with that and Michael's in the background, obviously they wouldn't die in the car when he walks right up to them. But I was just like, man, you got a lot of potential for some good fucking movie right there.
There were a lot of weird characters in this one.
Yeah,
like, annoying.
The way I remembered this one, Tina, like Tina, and then the guy with the car.
Oh, the Fonz looking guy.
Yeah, the Fonz guy. This is how I remember this one from television because I always liked how Michael fucks with him right before he's.
Oh yeah.
Like you barely get to know this character and like that his car is his baby, and then like 5 minutes later they're just like he doesn't exist. He's out of here. But I do like the shot with like the little gardening equipment where he just like claws the shit. Yeah, I love that, and then gives it to him right.
There's a lot of
right
Home Depot death in this.
Yeah, there was quite a bit. It was like a little gardening commercial, but
that that's the thing. When I was seeing teenagers, I'm like, oh my god, could they get more annoying? And then another more annoying one would show up. There's some random dude who runs out of like the store when the teenagers are in the car, and he's like doing this weird walk with his like
Spitz.
Like, oh my god, his name's Spitz.
That's the guy who dresses up as Michael Myers later.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that guy annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
They were all annoying. The only not annoying bit character in this movie is the dog.
Yeah. And he even bit the dust at the end.
They always
with like a cheap looking puppet.
How many dogs has Michael Myers killed?
I don't know. Are we including zombies?
No, fuck. No, we don't. We'll never.
I'm gonna say 3.
But this is another film where we get Michael and another mask, and they put him in that. What was that? The line? It was, oh my god, what's her face gets in the car, and she's like, oh, I love it, so barbaric, and I'm like, yikes, this is the one. This is the one you like. Mm-hmm. And that whole scene was really weird because like Michael sort of has like a unsuspecting girlfriend for like 5 minutes, and he already gets annoyed by her. Just to show that men are pigs. She's like, I want cigarettes. He's like, he's just an asshole for no reason. He's like, all right, fine. I thought that scene had a lot of comedy, and for some reason, where he's like you have fucking Michael Myers, but then he's like, all right, we'll stop and get you cigarettes.
All right, so I'm going to take us down a side road here for a second. Let's talk about the comedic stylings of Michael Myers. Okay, the Michael Myers funniest moments, right?
Yeah.
So the sheet and the glasses is the first Michael Myers joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's his first unspoken one-liner, right? What other comedic stylings has Michael Myers had? Because I think the mask in the car was great.
Yeah.
But I'm going to argue that the funniest Michael is in 6.
I have to try to remember what you might be referring to.
Was he funny in any of the others? Was he funny in H2O?
No, not really. I think other people were funny around him. He certainly was not funny in 2. I think 2 is the scariest.
Yeah, he was not funny in 2 at all.
Yeah, no sense of humor there. I don't know. That's actually a tough question.
All right, so I'm gonna die fighting for 6 when we get to it. So I'll do the comedic thing here. But that mask made me laugh so hard when he showed up in the car.
He's got like the butt chin. Like, he just looks like a 50s greaser.
That was absolutely classic. Yep.
No, I just wondered how the director shot that scene. He's like, all right, so you're Michael Myers, you're like pure evil, you're the Shape, but then you decide, yes, we will stop and get you cigarettes, honey, before we go to this party. And I just thought that was really funny.
The 5 just seems like really disjointed in a lot of ways. Well, like I know they did a lot of famously did a lot of rewriting on set. Like the Man in Black was not even when they started shooting the Man in Black and the Cult of the Thorn was not a fucking thing in the screenplay. That thing at the beginning of the movie, they actually reshot it to include that cult symbol.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He just looked like WWE's The Undertaker.
That's actually the same. It's Don Shanks who also plays Michael Myers.
Uh-huh.
Played the Shape, and apparently they came up with the idea for this guy to follow it because there was a guy that kept walking up to set dressed like that guy, not at all affiliated with the movie. They're just like, that's cool. When they just threw it in, it's just like, haphazardly comes together, and it's so weird because that little idea, that little like decision that they made, spawned the entirety of the sixth movie, the whole cult. Just one stupid little drawing on Michael's
Jesus
forearm.
Christ.
What is that? What's the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
The butterfly flaps his wings here, and you end up with Michael Myers in a cult over there.
I wonder if that guy knew that. Like, he went into 6 and he was like, wait a minute. That looks familiar.
This makes me want to have a career in movies where I just add sneak tattoos onto characters and then see if the whole plot of everything that comes after
later
changes.
Just put a neck tattoo on Captain America and see what happens.
See what happens.
No, the one scene that I think was probably my favorite in 5, aside from Fonzie getting it, was when Loomis closed. That was good.
That was great. The laundry chute is a great scene.
Because he's going for the gold in that scene, like with the knife.
So yeah, and Danielle Harris is fucking going for it too. Like I remember, I still actually feel really fucking tense during that scene.
She actually steps on the knife at one point, and I winced. Like he stabs the knife in, and she steps on it like it's a springboard, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is intense."
Yeah, that was a good
scene.
And they set up like the whole shoot thing before when Loomis goes down before. So I liked that.
Those are always good. Those are good moments. There's a killer tiger movie called Burning Bright that's way better than you would think it is from the way I'm describing right now. But there's a scene where she's trapped in a laundry chute and she's sweating, so the sweat's making her slip down and the tiger's trying to eat her from below. Anytime you're trapped in like a space like that is awesome.
It's all bad, nothing good. No, I've seen that scene. It was really that was pretty intense. And this was probably just as intense because instead of a tiger, you got Michael Myers. So I don't know which is worse. But the one scene that I really enjoyed, and I wish they would have played more off of it, and it sounds like they were going to with the original script, was when Loomis was talking to Danielle Harris's what's her name in the film? I always Rachel. When he was talking to Rachel. When he was trying to get the information of like why is he trying to connect with you, and he's like talking down to her like real bad, and that nurse just walks around him like, I don't hear nothing. You're just an older gentleman yelling at a little girl.
Oh yeah, he's savage with Danielle Harris. Like, right, what you know? Just like you're like maybe like a few inches away from that poor little girl's face.
Yeah, that was crazy, and I was like this, but I was like, is this movie secretly smart? Because if Dr. Loomis treated Michael Myers like that, that's why he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, that is some scary shit he's laying down on that poor little girl.
Yeah, he. But I liked it because like that's been his whole career is tracking down this guy, and he's like, this little girl has a connection to this guy. And then the nurse is just like, leave her alone. I'm like, does Haddonfield not get the situation it finds itself in? Like. Yeah, like this has happened to you guys like every year for like the past couple of years.
They don't get it.
You should probably
they don't get it. The sheriff he actually says, I think in this movie in 5, he says, am I going to call out the National Guard every time a girl has a dream or something? And Dr. Loomis is like, do you not remember what happened? Do you not remember how many people died? Dude, his daughter died. The sheriff's daughter died. And he's still skeptical. Yeah, but he still doesn't want to overreact. He's still, I'm like, what? No, this town does not get it.
No. It low key reminded me of in Dracula when they're doing the blood transfusion. He goes, "I'll give every drop," and Anthony Hopkins goes, "Every drop." I was hoping Loomis, when he asked about the National Guard, he'd be like, oh, "Yeah, that'd be fucking great." Yeah, we should have done that. That should have been on the fucking like Plan B years ago. And I was actually like low key, like they sort of bring out like the big guns in that one a little bit, or no, I'm thinking of at the end of 4 when they have, or is it 5? Which
4's the one that ends with the shootout.
Yeah, I just wish they would have.
5 ends with the Man in Black.
Win the shootout.
So let's get. Oh no, you go ahead.
I used to think that Tina, the annoying lead girl in the 5th movie, I used to think that she was the person who actually picked up Jamie from school when they were going to the Vincent drugstore to get the costumes. Mm-hmm. But I actually just found this out for the first time. That was actually, her name was Lindsay. She was supposed to be Lindsay Wallace in Halloween 4. Lindsay
funny.
Wallace.
No. You're right. You're like I'm jumping on when you said I was like same person.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought it was, but no, they're just two equally annoying women with black hair.
And they look.
I don't even know if they look the same, but in my head they're twins.
Same. I thought so, but then I went and rewatched it. But yeah, that was supposed to be Lindsay Wallace, the girl that escaped from the house in Halloween 1.
Let me tell you,
So
I came fresh off of just watching 5, and I still had no idea. So either I'm just a big dum dum,
Yeah.
or they look identical.
So teach a man to fish, and you feed him for life. Teach a man for fish for Michael Myers. You catch him in a net and tranquilize him. Are we buying that this works? Why can you shoot Michael but not? Why does tranquilizing Michael Myers work, but filling him full of bullets does not work? I mean, I appreciate that Donald Pleasance got to whack the shit out of him with a 2x4. That was actually pretty funny.
He actually broke his nose, apparently. Don Shanks.
No way.
Like, he actually fucking, like, broke that dude's nose.
I knew Donald Pleasance was not fucking around.
He was like, "You shoulder pad wearing fuck."
Well, apparently, like, the 2x4 was, like, a fake, like, half fake and half real, and he was supposed to grab it by, like, the real end and hit him with the fake end. But he fucking messed it up and just... And, like, Don Shanks, who's, like, just professional, I was just, like, he was bleeding all over the place. Like, it's like, this is what I get paid for. I'm a stunt actor. Like,
That's awesome.
going.
Good for him. That's amazing.
I would have. Oh my god! If I was in that suit and I got hit once with a two, you just hear me crying like a little baby boy underneath that mask.
Oh yeah, another thing about how badass Don Shanks is. You know that the car chase when they're like weaving through the forest and that's when he finally gets it and he crashes. Well, apparently, like when they blew up the car or whatever. This is also in that documentary. The car catches on fire and like it was supposed to explode. It was such a big day on set, like, because like they didn't really have a lot of pyrotechnics for that film, and I think that was the biggest scene.
Oh, geez.
The director invited all like the cast and crew up to like see it, and Don Shanks is actually in the car, and it's on fire, and it explodes, and Don is just sitting in there, and nobody called cut, and Don was not going to leave the car until somebody called cut, until somebody realized that Don wasn't leaving, so he almost fucking burned to death.
Oh my god!
Until somebody called cut. Again, that guy.
Yeah,
he's great. He's great. I like Don.
Well, I think you also just revealed why this movie is my least favorite of the batch besides 6, because that director doesn't even know how to direct cut. Like, what the hell? You can't leave a dude and burn it up in a car. It's horrible.
What do you think?
I just read another. Speaking of the director, his name's actually incorrectly spelled in the opening credits.
No.
Oh, now I got to take it back a little. That's disrespectful. Damn it.
Well, I'm sure it was like for every second they left him in the burning vehicle, they're like, "Well, that's one letter we're gonna fuck up."
little bit of typographic revenge.
Oh, that.
So this is, and then the end of this, right? Is I think it's the least evocative ending. Like the staircase ending in 4. I know a lot of people hate the ending. The producer's cut ending of 6, I think, is still a great visual shot, even though I have some problems with how they ended it. But this one is just, I mean, I don't know. It just kind of didn't do anything for me. When the credits roll on a Halloween movie, I usually feel like
this one just really, like it's like when you try to do that thing when you have a table with like a cloth on it and you try to pull it out and all the glass was there. Except when you do it, everything goes with it. That's how this ending felt.
The best analogy for how that part of it. And it's weird. I didn't trust like the filmmakers. I wasn't trusting their decisions. They killed Rachel and they gave me Tina for the whole movie. Every time I thought Tina was going to die, like that's when the National Guard showed up. Every time someone tried to hurt Tina, all of a sudden she was flanked by police and like whatever. I'm like, why are you killing the good character and leaving this? I don't know.
Yeah, Elliot Cornell was like really pissed off that she got killed like that early in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like she had such a positive feedback from like fans.
Yeah, it was wrong. It was a bad decision, and they were probably trying to do a Psycho.
I guess.
And give you like nobody's safe, but it just felt weird.
It did. No, I did. But that's the thing is, it didn't feel like with Psycho. It felt like they did that because it was like, it was shocking and surprising. But this, it just felt like disrespectful to the character.
Yeah.
Well, in Psycho, when they got rid of Janet Leigh in Psycho, the story pivoted to Norman. When they got rid of Rachel here, the story pivoted to Tina.
Someone we just don't give a shit about.
Like,
I'm never sensible if I can help it.
Yeah, and her death was even
Really weak sauce too. She gets like stabbed in the shoulder once.
And then done.
that's it.
there were some pretty good deaths. The pitchfork thing was
She actually almost,
pretty awesome.
the actress who played Tina almost actually died in that scene when she's running.
Oh no.
This is a badly directed movie.
Yeah.
Everyone's
No,
on
it
the
was-
verge of death.
Yeah, it was like the stunt coordinator must have really fucked up because Don Shanks is usually a stunt coordinator and this like a stunt actor, but he couldn't do both because he was doing so many stunts. So I guess I kind of blame the stunt coordinator more. But as Tina's running away from the car, because she was actually being chased by that car, granted it was like slightly slower speeds and it was further away, she trips on her cape at one point. And there's actual footage where you can see like she trips and Don is actually driving the car. Again, Don Shanks is fucking amazing. Actually swerves out of the way because otherwise he would have killed her.
Oh my god!
And he has said so many times that that's the closest he's ever come to killing somebody on set.
Oh my god! That is
And like
The making is scarier than the film itself.
yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
if I had died making John Carpenter's Halloween, like I think my spirit would be okay with it. But if I died for 5,
Yeah,
I'd be haunting. Some
That's
people.
purgatory.
So the pitchfork death you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I thought one of the things that saved this from being a total disaster movie was just that some of the kills were really good.
Yeah, and I like the cops again when during that scene they have the line where they're looking out and they go, you know, luckily we're what was I got the language.
Lousy cops.
Yeah, fortunately we're lousy cops because they just want to keep playing Uno in the car. There was another really good scene that I think I wanted to bring up when Loomis is talking to Charlie when everyone leaves. Like,
Charlie.
oh, I love the way he does that line. He pulls the gun out. Oh, that fucking line. Oh, it's so good. And he goes, "Watch the little girl." He's like, and he tells the fucking guy, like, first of all, how come they had like the whole police, like every surrounding town's police squad there, and they're like, "Well, you bring the little girl." They're like, no one was like, "Why don't we take her?"
Right.
That was weird. But I love when he tells Charlie, he's like, Michael Myers is outside. Like, that's the, like,
No, that's cool.
that is a shit your pants moment. You're like, well, fuck me.
That was really cool.
Nothing we can
Michael
do.
Myers is standing.
He goes, go ahead.
That for some reason every time I have to say the name Charlie, I actually say it as I'm like Charlie. Mike, I love that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's actually one of my favorite scenes. It's so good.
That's a great scene.
He just
I got to give props to this movie. I think it did a better job than 4
Ooh.
of the having Michael lurking in the background shots. I don't think 4 really did any that were impactful, but this one actually had some stalker shots from with him looming that were pretty good.
Apparently, Dr. Loomis was supposed to die in this one.
What?
Yeah, he was supposed to be dead at the end. He was supposed to die over Michael Myers. And even in like interviews, like Donald Pleasance was saying, like, yeah, this will be the last film. You know.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't.
These movies make this mistake a lot. Like it's the Friday the 13th mistake, right? Where you get rid of Jason and you pass it on to someone else, and then they immediately change their mind. And killing off the characters, like getting rid of Donald Pleasance, is just clearly such a bad idea.
Yeah, that was,
All right, so that's 5.
that's 5. Ending with Charlie.
Any other notes?
I think we can end it on the whole Charlie scene. That was. Oh, did you want to mention the house?
The house? Oh, I thought I already talked about it. How like the house is completely different from the original house that was in Pasadena. It's like a 2.5 story, like 3 times the size.
Old Victorian.
Yeah, and like it's very kind of like the the Rob Zombie house, where it's very disorienting inside. You don't know where you are. Whereas in the original, you know exactly kind of like every turn in that house.
Yep. Yeah, this movie had terrible architecture altogether. The house sucked, and the hospital was like an American Horror Story hospital.
Yeah.
Like the hospital was ridiculous. They had no lights. They had like a weird dungeon basement. This movie, its architecture, it's like a children's hospital, right? Like what the hell? I don't know.
Yeah, it was
Not
weird.
a big fan of 5.
All right, well that's 4.
Okay.
So let's go on to. So this is George's favorite.
Yeah, this is going to be complicated discussion because we have to deal with 2 movies here.
Okay, so I'm gonna note the regular non-producer's cut.
Okay, the regular non-producer's cut I can barely talk about because it's so bad. It makes
Then blow my
it
mind.
makes me angry.
Blow my mind with the producer's cut.
Because the story behind this is pretty great. I always love when horror fans, get a win, because the guy who wrote this script, I'm sure Alex knows his name. I don't remember. It's like, yeah, he was just a horror fan, right? Like he's a Halloween super fan.
Yeah. And
he had this idea for the script, and the script was so good that everyone was really excited to make it and sign on to do it. And then the director, who apparently clashed with a lot of the cast, just had a whole different idea of how to execute the script than the writer did. There was a lot of division. Like we said, about 4 was the crew really cohered. They were like a unit.
Yeah.
This one, there was a lot of infighting, behind the scenes stuff. There was controversy about Danielle Harris. They wanted her to come back, but they didn't want her to pay her enough, So
Jesus.
it was kind of a mess going into production, and that's like never a good sign. And just as by way of example of the decision making, how we're not doing service to this film or this idea, is the director, after the movie, when he's editing it. Here's literally what he said to himself. He was like, "You know what this movie has? Too much Donald Pleasance." He's like Donald Pleasance is boring, so he cut out almost all of Donald Pleasance's scenes. In the regular shit cut, the voiceover is Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And in the producer's cut, the voiceover is Donald Pleasance, which is what it should be, right? Like, why would you start a Halloween movie with
someone you don't really know? I mean, you're supposed to know the character, Tommy Doyle.
Right. Yes.
And actually, apparently, they approached the kid who played Tommy originally, but they couldn't find him because he hadn't acted in like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So they ended up getting Paul Rudd, which is weird because it's his first movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The whole Danielle Harris thing, she's been really open about how pissed she was about this. I don't know if you guys have ever watched any of the
Yeah, I saw
interviews.
that.
How like they essentially offered her like the regular day rate for any like actor.
They offered her the regular rate because they were going to kill her off in the first act.
Yeah, not realizing that like
No, that's just my reaction. Like,
Please keep going. I'm just offended. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
like a producer or one of the people when she said like, because she actually had to get herself emancipated to be able to take this role.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost her like, I don't like $4 or $5 grand or something along those lines. And
wow.
They were only offering her like fucking like $800 or something stupid like that. And she's like, it cost me more to get this. Plus fans, like everyone loves Danielle Harris. That's even why Rob Zombie brought her back in his abortion. But
Yeah.
changing her was a very bad decision. And I feel really fucking bad for the girl who took over, because she got like lots of hate, and she still does to this day at like horror conventions.
Yeah, and that's not fair.
Yeah, it's not her fault. Like,
taking the gig.
No, and so, but that's the thing is, one of the things is, so the way the shit cut starts is just this crazy editing nightmare, and the way the producer's cut start is just you're going down the hall with the girl and her baby, and it's shot with those classic long hallway, you don't know what's lurking in the background Halloween shots.
Yeah.
It's actually good. And the whole opening sequence where Jamie escapes with her baby. Remember we were talking about before, the stakes keep going up. Jamie Lee Curtis, and then it's Danielle Harris who's super. Now it's a baby, a mom and a newborn, this 20 minutes old baby, right? So Michael Myers is stalking, trying to kill a 20-minute-old baby and her mom. So now the stakes are even higher, and it's a really grim sequence.
Yeah.
Like, it really grabbed me because it's very threatening and it's very dark. And when they get out, I like in horror movies, I like when there's too often when someone is getting away from someone, they get away, and then it's like the fireworks go off and everyone celebrates and it's happy. She gets away, and then all of a sudden she's in a truck in the middle of the night with a newborn baby. She just gave birth. She's in a rainstorm. Her life's still shit. like even if Michael Myers isn't after her anymore, which he is, this is not a great situation. So I was invested in the characters from the jump, right? So I really like the way the producer's cut opens, and I really feel like, when she pulls off with that car, you're like, you're not getting away from Michael Myers, and she does not get away from Michael Myers. And I think that relentlessness of him chasing her down so quickly, like when I saw that, I thought most of this movie was going to be him trying to get them, but he gets them like 2 scenes later because he's just a killer, right? So
I just feel like I need to watch the producer's cut at this point because I feel like I've been robbed of an hour.
I don't want to talk too much in a row, but I'm going to do my comedic stylings thing about this because I love this, and then I want to talk about how fucking great Donald Pleasance is. This is his last performance.
Last one?
I think it's one of his best performances. It's my favorite performance of his besides the first one, even more than 2. Because there's some variation to his character that I really appreciated. But so there's 2 things that Michael does in this movie that make him a comedy genius to me. Mm-hmm. The first one is when he goes, there's a scene where the couple, the one who's dressed up as the Bride of Frankenstein, the one who bring the DJ to town, she goes to the Myers house and they have sex, and then he's like, I got to go take a shower because of course it's a horror movie, so you got to go take a shower right after sex. And then he's in the shower and he calls out to the girl and he goes, honey, can you bring me a towel? I'm freezing in here. And Michael hands him a towel through the curtain. and the towel comes off his hand and you see his burned hand with the tattoo on it. But Michael's just standing in the bathroom, and then the guy asked for a towel, so he just gave it to him.
Michael's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, here you go.
Which is just the best, right? But it's not the funniest moment. The funniest moment is when he fucks with, I don't remember the guy's name, Mr. Strode, the asshole, the one who hits his daughter.
Yeah.
And John. Yeah, he's a total dick. So Michael slaughters this woman out in the amazing scene where it's out with the hanging laundry. It's not a Halloween movie without hanging laundry. I'm sorry. So
that's my favorite scene.
I love that was there, right? So he kills her and blood goes all over the sheets, right? So then John comes home and he's like, hey, honey, where's my dinner? Thanks for nothing. And then he hears a sound and he goes downstairs and the sound is the washing machine's running. And the washing machine's running and he opens up the lid and the bloody sheet's in the machine. Michael's cleaning up. He's cleaning up after himself. Now, I mean, it's probably just to make some noise to bait this guy down here, but that means that Michael relocated a bloody sheet, put it in a washing machine, didn't add soap because it's still bloody as shit.
He's a terrible, terrible wash.
So there's just a considerate side to Michael in this one. He's giving you towels. He's cleaning up. Like, I like this side of him. I found it great.
He's very nice. What were we saying, Alex?
Oh, I was just trying to throw a quick joke. He fully intended on folding those sheets afterwards.
I'm sure he did.
I wish there was a scene of like a kid on his bike just riding down the street and just looks over. Michael's just grabbing the shit from the hanger. Like, what a mess.
We gotta clean this
Good
town.
riddance.
We gotta clean up this town.
Do you think out of these 3, that dad's death is probably one of the most satisfying in the?
So that is troubling because that dad's death is weak. It's one of the few places the producer's cut's worse.
So what happens?
That scene where he kind of electrocutes him and blows him up. That's not in the producer's cut. I mean, it's in there. He electrocutes him, but he doesn't explode. That effect's not there.
Oh.
So it's weaker because the explosion's pretty cool. But I do think that the shot of when he pulls the camera out of the house while John's being electrocuted, and you see the light flickering from the basement through the window, and you got that great framing shot of the house with that amazing pumpkin, and the Halloween lights, and the house is going on and off while John's dying. I think that shot is amazing. I think it's a really cool shot. So yeah, it's a great death, but it was better in the crap version.
Wow. I'm surprised there's not like 30 different cuts, like Blade Runner of this movie. Like,
No.
you gotta see.
Kind of. There was like, because like this was made in '95, so that was kind of like the birth of the internet and like being able to like kind of like talk to other people about it. So there was like a huge like search for the producer's cut for this movie. Like people on like fucking like chat rooms and like it was just weird. Like at the birth of the internet for this to come out.
Yeah, perfect time for it. So I think the idiot DJ's death was pretty great, and I think the scene where the little girl's dancing around in the blood is super chilling, because she's like singing "Mom, it's raining red, Mom, it's raining red," and then the camera comes around the tree, so you get a full shot of her, and she's like covered in blood in her cute little Halloween outfit, and she's like, "It's warm," and I'm like. It was such a great scene, and then the DJ comes flying down from the tree like his dead body, and it's pretty cool. I think that is amazing. I actually like that whole sequence and how it was shot. There's this great shot of following Paul Rudd while he's walking, and there's like they're doing the crazy old lady is telling the story of Halloween to what's the kid's name? Damn it, Alex. Danny, yeah, it's Danny for sure. She's telling that amazing story to Danny about how there used to be bonfires, and it's cutting back to Paul Rudd walking through the Halloween party, and he's walking past trash barrels that are on fire, and she's talking about bonfires, and it was just a really well constructed like back and forth moment and a beautiful shot. So.
And again, it felt like Halloween, kind of like that thing you're looking
totally for. Felt like Halloween. By the way, in this movie we have a pumpkin massacre. Because the car that Jamie's driving hits like 500 pumpkins when she crashes.
That monster.
She's great, savage.
She's the monster. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So, all right. So now let's talk about Donald Pleasance. One of the things that I love in horror movies is when the good guys are monstrous or become monstrous, right? This is the Van Helsing effect, where in Bram Stoker's Van Helsing, Anthony Hopkins is almost as creepy as Dracula, right? So Donald Pleasance is pretty intense. We already he browbeats kids. He doesn't give a shit about, like he says,
he pimp walks through hospitals.
He just walks through hospitals, whatever. So he's very, very intense. But in this movie, he's retired post-stroke. And in the producer's cut, when you first meet him, they're talking on the radio about maybe that crazy old guy's dead. And he looks up at the radio. He's got his glasses. He's writing his manuscript, his memoir. And he looks up at the radio. He's like, not dead, just retired. And he's got this huge smile on his face. Like, and then Wynn, who turns out to be one of the villains in the movie, comes and visits him. And he's like, he's just enjoying retirement. He's got like whiskey and his typewriter. And he's just like, he shows like his fun side for the first. He gets to give the character a little more depth because you see how he would have lived his life if he wouldn't been entangled in a 25-year nightmare, right? Which is great. It was great to see him do that. But then the cool thing that happens is the plot of the movie forces him to the point where he's almost taking over leadership of the cult. And I'm telling you guys, there is an amazing moment when they escape at the end, and Paul Rudd and the baby, and they're in the car, and he could leave with them, but he doesn't. And they go, what's the plan? He's like, your plan's to get as far away from Haddonfield as possible. And then they drive off, and Paul Rudd's smiling at him, and he's smiling like he's happy. And as soon as they leave, his face goes cold. Just dead killer cold. And he goes back into the hospital to confront Michael. And it's just an amazing scene where you see that he gets to be supportive and light and then has to go back to like the dark Loomis. And only Donald Pleasance could do it the way he did it. And it's so good.
Yeah, like I've been saying, he adds class to like these, like 4, 5, and 6. These could have been completely like trashy movies, and I think without his presence, I don't think they would have been nearly the same.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I mean, he brings so much to
They
it.
needed the Pleasance presence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And he's like that. You know, there's actually a scene where they find Jamie's body, and the cops are like, "Oh, the psychiatrist are here. You don't belong here. This is my." The cops are like, "This is my town or my business or whatever." And Dr. Loomis looks at him and goes, "Michael Myers is my business," and it's just only he can do that. Like it's just so good. This is my favorite performance of his besides the first one, and I think it's just pretty kick ass.
Do you think? I'm curious what you two think that the Michael Myers, I don't know, story should have ended with Loomis, or do you think it should keep going? Because it's almost sort of like the battle of good and evil sort of type thing. Do you think it should have kept going, or do you think they should have somehow wrapped it up with Loomis at the end?
I honestly don't have an opinion on it because, you know, I would have liked to see the series go the anthology direction after 3. I would miss these movies if they weren't here. And I feel like you could bring Michael Myers back as part of an anthology without making it an every time thing. Like you didn't have to be gone forever. But you know, I'm probably wrong about that, which means whatever answer I'd give you now about what they should have done will probably also be wrong because I just don't know. I mean, Michael Myers is such a great character.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine him ever stopping.
What were you saying, Alex?
I would have liked it because I'm a huge fan of what they did with Halloween H2O, but the thing they're missing is Donald Pleasance. I just wish Jamie Lee Curtis had decided to do a movie 6 years earlier that's just basically a hybrid of, and just drop the fucking cult thing. I don't like that. I think they do. I mean, I think credit to the writer for trying to fix whatever the hell was like kind of thrown at him in 5. But I'm not a fan of like the whole cult background. You know how he has to kill his whole bloodline in order to end his own life. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that explaining backgrounds to horror characters in general weakens them.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that isn't a great choice in terms of like. But here's the thing: one of the things I know is I like when the Halloween movies get a little weird. I like 3. And I like that they did this. I don't think that you can just do unexplained Michael movies for 14 movies.
Yeah.
You know, I think they had painted themselves into the corner. They might have been able to find a better way out. You know, I don't agree. I mean, obviously runes are inherently ridiculous. That's not like a thing that should be like stopping Michael Myers. And even though I like that scene, I like the way it was shot. But so remember when he's in the producer's cut when Michael Myers is coming down the hallway at the end, and it's actually a great scene because the alarms are going off. The hallway looks super, almost futuristic, scary. The lights are flickering, and Paul Rudd's escaping, and they get trapped in the hallway, and Donald Pleasance shows up and rescues all of them but Paul Rudd. He's still trapped in the hallway. And Michael Myers walks up to him, and Paul Rudd has laid down a circle of runes on the ground, and he traps Michael in him, right? And you know it was visually it was cool. It's just dumb. Like it's dumb that runes would be like controlling Michael Myers.
Exactly. Like he can't bust through rocks, but he can bust through like metal doors and stuff.
right, totally. But you know, to be honest, I really liked the fact that there was other villains. I love the scene where the crazy old lady has the baby, and then I forget who runs in. One of the characters runs in the room, and she turns around, she goes, "Hello, dearie," and she's got a knife in her hand, and she looks nuts, right? So I actually like that was a thing. I like the twist that the guy who was Donald Pleasance's best friend was the main villain all along. I mean, I liked most of it. I can see why people would hate it. I can see why they don't like giving backstory, because I don't like that as a principle either. But you know, I don't know if I would be down for 14 consecutive, you know, unexplained Michael Myers movies either.
Yeah,
That's true.
I really would like the anthology thing.
Yeah, that was the other way out of it. They just didn't take the other way.
Mainly, I'm just an anthology fanboy.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Dr. Wynn actually. He's in the first movie. The character, not the same actor. He's the one who's like walking Loomis down to his car when he's telling him. Like, yeah, so like they brought him back in.
So they tried to bring some characters back.
Yeah, it's just weird
effort.
Yeah, but like when I think of Halloween, I don't think of this particular story. I don't think of Michael Myers as like part of a cult.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
because I mean, the thing is, here's the funny thing that we kind of didn't touch on, which we should probably close with. But I want to talk about a couple kills before we close it. But I saw an interview with the director of 4.
Yeah.
And he said he ignored all the Halloween movies but the first one. So he disregarded 3, but he also disregarded 2. Which is exactly what they're doing now.
Yeah.
With the next Halloween movie, right? So that means there's a whole bunch of directors who have looked at this timeline and been like, nope. I'm disregarding all of it except for the first one, right? So I feel like because of the construction of the story, people keep tripping on it. Because it's hard to do, right? Yeah. It's not easy to like Friday the 13th. I feel like is easier to execute as a repetition of itself, because you already have sort of some backstory, even though it gets super repetitive. So but Halloween it lives or dies on basically one character, and I just feel like they needed to introduce some other villainy somehow, and
that makes sense. And I think, like, as much as I love Halloween and I love the series, that's why I think I always say, if people ask me, like, what's your favorite horror movie series? I have to say Scream, because I think it's the most consistent.
Yeah, it's the only one directed by the same director.
Yeah, same team the whole way through, same writers, same directors, same cinematographer, same composer. It just feels more cohesive, whereas, like, again, I see Halloween as Halloween 1 and 2 and H2O, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, 5, and 6, and then Resurrection is
forever. Forever your most hated.
That's how I kind of like in my brain. That's how I see it.
That totally makes sense. There's a moment in this movie where there's a murder, and you haven't seen it. You should see it because it's a Rear Window style kill. So Paul Rudd has stationed them across the street from the Myers house, and they're watching through a camera. And it's bullshit in the crap version. It's the way it's edited is horrible. But in this one, she's on the phone with the girl, and she's like, get out of the house right now. And then she's like, wait, there's someone behind you. There's someone behind you. And then Michael starts massacring this girl, and she's watching through this camera lens, Rear Window style. It's literally angled the same way, shot the same way, all that stuff. And it's just an amazing, like, I appreciate the creativity of not just how you kill them instead of electrocuting them or drowning them or stabbing or whatever, but like the way it was framed where now you got someone like helplessly watching it happen, which I don't remember happening in any of the other Halloween.
I was really hoping you'd say she blinded Michael with a series of flash bulbs.
She doesn't need to blind Michael. He got shot in the eyes. Well, he just does it by sense now.
I do like this mask, actually. When I first saw the movie, like when I was younger, I used to hate this mask. I don't know why. Like the hair was kind of too almost like punk rocky, and it kind of looked like weird and powdered to me. But like the more I look at it, and the more like I think about it, especially compared to 4 and 5, I think it's very scary. And my favorite mask in Halloween H2O is this mask, because they actually bring this mask back for just the first scene in the movie.
Oh wow!
And that looks the best.
Yeah.
I like this mask.
That's cool. I think, and then I mean, let's close out and just talk about the ending, because the ending is no, you're fine. The ending is Michael Myers does a switch, and he takes off in the Men in Black outfit. And I think a lot of people hate that ending. And the only thing that I can say about it is that I actually liked, because I think one of the things about like the Jurassic Park series is like they get smarter, and Michael Myers is basically just a killer, but he's not making any maneuvers. It's amazing he even learned how to drive. Driving Michael still freaks me out.
Yeah.
But he's making a chess move here at the end, which is the first time. It's kind of like the zombie series where Land of the Dead gave you Big Daddy, the zombie who's smarter than. I feel like I like the fact that he's progressing where he's starting to outsmart people.
Yeah.
Not just kill them, but outsmart them. And I like that it was headed in that direction, and then they just dropped it. But I thought that was kind of cool. I know everyone hates that ending, but I can't help myself. So
Fuck you, fuck everyone else. I like it.
there you go.
No, you said something that I really liked was you liked it when Halloween got weird, which compared to the other series, like other like big slasher films, like when they got weird, they got real fucking weird. Like to a really strange.
Yeah, like
point.
Phantasm was never not weird.
Yeah, and then like the later Friday films just got really strange. But like when this one got weird, it still felt good. You know what I mean? Like it still had some sort of it still felt in the same world. Like they weren't stretching out themselves out too thin. Like they were still stretching it.
Yes.
But it wasn't an unbelievable like gap of like what
Well,
the fuck
yeah, and
are
it
they
was.
doing?
I mean, the only weird ones are 3, 6, and is there any other weird one? Like those were the two gambles with the story, right?
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty normal. So it didn't feel like it didn't go outside, but then again, they didn't try it that often.
Yeah.
Like the whole Friday series basically just got. I mean, he ended up in space, right?
Yeah.
And hell, and
Yeah, that one's the best one.
Jason X, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was joking.
It's funny because I'm not.
Those are just fun. Those kind of accepted that they're just shitty. Like, I don't think anyone tried to make like a statement with any of the Friday the 13th.
right.
Not necessarily that they were trying to make a statement with Halloween 4, 5, and 6, but I feel like there's some like more thought. I don't know. It seems-
Well, but here, this is interesting though, because the pressure that was on this franchise to figure out how to not repeat itself led to the Thorn cult, which is, probably regrettable. But the way the Friday the 13th solved it was they gave up on the setting. So they started planting Jason in different places. And I feel like that's a worse solution than this solution.
Yeah.
At least for the integrity of the franchise. It might be more fun, but it's not,
No.
But again, I could be wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, there it is. 4, 5, and 6. I
There it is.
don't know what else to dive into them.
No, that's it.
They're kind of I mean, Alex, would you agree that it's kind of its own little segment of Halloween? Like,
yeah.
Like its own little storyline package.
Yeah. I remember when you asked me at the beginning how I see it, and now I kind of realize, yeah, it is. This is its own it's its own segment.
well, I'm glad we grouped them up together because I did not have time to watch the rest of them.
I was like, oh Jesus.
No.
Oh Jesus.
I you know what? I'm telling you though, it's for whatever flaws or whatever you see, the thing I know is when it's October and these movies come on, I'm happy.
It's a good.
I'm just glad to see them. They're like old friends, and it's
like
I know
football.
I'm going to get annoyed at a couple things, but I'm so excited to re-go into the world and any movie that has Loomis and Myers anchoring it.
That's a good one.
Resurrection is not. Well, he doesn't have pleasant. So,
Yeah, there
but
you go. Checkmate.
But I know, that's the thing is there was a lot of some profit driven motives. One of the things we didn't mention was the fact that the 6 turned into such a disaster was it's the first big studio Halloween movie. So they screen tested it, which they had never done before. And the screen test was 114-year-old boys. And they hated the producers they hated, so they went and reshot a third of this movie based on a bunch of know-nothing idiots who got to screen test the Halloween movie because that 14-year-old should be directing movies, which is what happens now, I'm sure. But it was it was the first time it happened to the Halloween franchise, which is why this movie got so tripped up. But I think coming out of this where it's all big budget, big studio movies. I mean, there were 2 paths this could have gone, like direct to video or studio.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's cool that at least they tried something different in this block of movies. I like them.
I like them too.
All right.
When I don't like them, I still like them. So there you have it. So now so just to make sure we have it all mapped out, we still have to do later on. We gotta knock out what's left.
I think H2O should be
H2O.
on
H2O. Yeah. I mean, we could
H2O.
actually. We're not gonna have a whole episode on Resurrection because I mean it's just those two. That's it. 7 and 8.
We don't need to do any Resurrection, do we?
We can talk about it for 10. We'll give ourselves 10 minutes just to bash on it because it totally fucks up how good 7 is.
Yeah. It's terrible.
I wish there was a way to get the rights to do a live stream but like Alex tied to a chair, like it follows
like Clockwork Orange. With
yeah,
his eyes.
yeah. just like.
But I will say this actually, I used to think that 8 was my least favorite, but I still can occasionally rewatch it and laugh at it. I can't do that with Rob Zombie's movies anymore. I can't.
That makes sense.
So I actually dislike Rob Zombie's movies.
I would be comfortable saying that Zombies Halloween 2 is at least as bad as Resurrection.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
There it is. Halloween 4, 5, and 6. We got a few more left in the bag, but it's always a good watch. Never disappointed. So until next time, watch a bunch of scary movies and happy October. We're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch of October. Yeah. Carve a pumpkin, throw a party. We know someone who likes to throw parties, huh?
Hey, buddy.
Go on a hayride, go to haunted house, and enjoy the last week of October.
Stay out of all the Myers households.
Stay out of Haddonfield.
There's more than one house.
Stay out of Haddonfield. You gotta do it.
Avoid them all.
All right, bye guys.
Bye guys.